me from going back to Florida because I would have never stayed here, uh, you know, if it wasn't for the arm wrestling event.
You you're known for the passion that you have for the sport and the resilience that you show in your matches. Paul then says you spare no cost to get people to your practices. You said that you've been having practices every week for 20 years.
I've been having practices at my house, whether I lived in an apartment, a townhouse, since 19. Oh boy, it's hard for me to think. 1990, 1989. Yeah, so probably 89, 99, 2000. Yeah, 32 years, 31, 32 years. Yeah, I've been holding practice for a long, long time. Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of places that can say that, I would imagine.
No, no, probably not. I mean, I don't consider myself,
No,
the the coach of the team. They do call me. I mean, I do host the practices, and I do love teaching people how to arm wrestle, what to do and what not to do. I like teaching people their strengths and finding what works for them because everyone's got to find their power band. Like your power band might not be exactly where mine is, so we got to find our little niche, what we're good at, and
you
how
work,
to attack an
you
opponent.
use the same kind of philosophy with the people you train with in arm wrestling that you do with your boys as far as discipline, or do you let them be grown men and kind of they're in it or they not? I mean, I
Well, a few years. I mean,
Paul
a
Lynn,
few years.
Paul Lynn
Uh,
compares you to like a really inspirational football coach. So that kind of coaching style is that? Would you say that's kind of what you're doing?
yeah, we're gonna
I don't.
grind.
I don't think.
Yeah,
I don't think people coming for 20 years has anything to do with anything more than you and the way that the effect that you have on people. I think that's what's kept it on. That's what my intuition tells
yeah. I mean, yeah. There's like if you talk to Todd Hutchings, there's something about the way I arm wrestle him, my
me. Yeah, he said
style.
his favorite training opponent.
Yeah, so I can.
When he's in a training thing, they're the
Yeah,
guy
he can't.
called because you have
Yeah,
a very unorthodox
Yeah,
style.
I can keep him out of a hook. My style can be a little bit different, and it can be a little bit uncomfortable for people that are trying to turn me inside. So my best attribute, if I had to say what I'm very good at, would be stopping someone from turning me in a hook. I mean, you're not hooking me. Maybe Dave Shafee could, or an in shape John Brzenk,
Yeah.
possibly. Those two probably could, but I don't. You're not hooking me. I mean, I'm not saying I can't lose because I can, but I'm very difficult to turn under. I'm very good. I understand. The physics and the dynamic and the angles of staying out of a hook. So when I've worked, actually, John Brzenk himself, when he came to my practice, he came to my house in 2015. And we were fooling around, and he was showing me how if you watch John when he pulls in a hook right here, he would go down and use some pressure downward rotation. I'm like, what? And so he at first when he told me this, I was like, well, yeah, right. I'm not John Brzenk. I'm only Dave Morocco. That ain't gonna work for me. So I fooled with it. And then all of a sudden it started to click. I said, Jesus, he's got something. And it took me about 2 years. And I've got that downward rotation down really, really well. So I'm very comfortable doing that. So, you try to I'll take a little from John Brzenk, a little from Travis Bajent, Paul Lynn, Marcio Barbosa, Todd Hutchings, Michael Todd, Devin Larrett, you name it, Matt Mask. There's so many people out there that I take a little bit, and what works for Paul Lynn or Kenny Smith might not necessarily work for Dave Morocco. So I might tweak what Paul Lynn does, and he might tweak what I do, right? So I just try to take little bits and pieces and try to come up with a scheme, if you will, that works for me.
Are you still competing?
Yeah. Mhm.
When's
Yeah. So
let's
I'm
talk
going to
about
try
you
to
have an
the
event coming up.
15. Yeah. So I have a big event coming up. It was going to be, well, I'm going to change it this week. It was going to be June 12th, but my son has a big baseball tournament out of town. So I'm moving it to June 19th, and I'm going to get with James Reed, and we're going to work on the flyer. So we are going to move this event to June 19th. It's going to be a Saturday, and it's probably going to be here in my backyard, and I'm going to rent some big, huge tent, and it's probably going to be here in my backyard.
Yeah.
If not, it might be at my son's CrossFit gym. I'm not sure yet, but it's going to be here in Maryland, very local. But yeah, it's going to be June 19th, and it's a pretty good money tournament. I'm going to give out money for the right-handed side the first time. I don't know top of my head. I want to say it's 1,000 for first place and maybe 250 for second. And then I'm going to run some amateur stuff, some masters, and then left hand is going to be no money. But if this thing goes the way I think it will, I'm going to run it back again in October, and then I'm going to pay out left-handed.
Yeah, that looks. I'm going to be coming to that event. You got anybody doing a live feed for you?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
I'm
Yeah,
offer my services to you, my friend.
I'll take it.
I'd be honored. A lot of people consider you a major influence in their careers. Tim Bresnan got his start at your practices. Paul Lynn, obviously.
Yeah, that was the only time I beat Tim.
Oh, was it?
So Tim comes to my house a while ago. It probably 20 years, man. I don't even remember when he started. 05, 04. So he comes to my house, and me and George Stanton were beating him. But I already knew the hand that Tim had. I was like, what? This is not normal for this guy's hand to be like this. Look, a year later, right? A year later, I was just going through the remember they had that Northeast message board there for a while. It's a long time ago. And I saw that Tim Bresnan beat John Brasink. I'm like, what the heck? And that's only a year later, man. And I don't think Tim knew who John was.
You mean he only played in the sport for 1 year and he beat John?
1 year and beats John Brasink, yes. So John didn't know who Tim was. And you know what the part, I think John,
he Tim, was like, what the fuck?
He didn't know who John was, right?
Oh, so I mean, John was probably like that. John was like, this guy.
Yeah, John was like, what the hell? So, but yeah, Tim Bresnan, he came, I want to say 04, 05, or might have even been 03. I don't remember.
You guys pretty tight?
But yeah, I love Tim. Love Tim Bresnan. Good man.
Yeah.
Good man. He's a good man. And, you know, the Warrior, when I saw Tim Bresnan in Atlantic City in 2015, 14 or 15, it was a WAL qualifier. So Tim had Lyme's disease, and then he had swelling in the brain, right? So he had the down, that syndrome where your face gets messed up and your eye droops a little bit. Yeah. So Tim comes to the wall, the event, and so he was vulnerable, right? And he lost to Mike Aiello that day. But that wasn't the normal Tim Bresnan. But I had so much more respect for Tim that Tim came out so vulnerable and still competed at his best. But it was not the Tim Bresnan of old. It was not the Tim Bresnan that we know, because he was very messed up. But I just had a lot of admiration for Tim to come under those conditions and compete. That just was like, man, I was almost teary-eyed for Tim that day. I was like, damn, man, I just can't believe he, you know, when he was talking and his face was drooping, I just, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people say, oh, Dave Marocco, blah, blah, you know. No, I'm a good guy, you know, and I do have a type A personality, but I'm a big teddy bear too, man. I have a soft heart.
Nothing wrong with being both. You can be both.
No. Yeah, I love Tim. Yeah, he's a good man. He's a good man.
How long have you known Paul Lynn?
I've known Paul ever since he started arm wrestling. Just about. I've probably known Paul 4 full years.
He said if it
Probably.
weren't for you, he wouldn't be where he's at today.
Yeah, I love Paul Lynn. Paul Lynn is awesome. I talk to Paul Lynn quite often, and he's a good man. He reminds me of me, younger me. He's ahead of me when I was his age. He's just such a good dude. He's a good father. He's a good husband. He's just good. So good sees good, right? So I see it in Paul. Paul sees it in me. I would take my shirt off for Paul Lynn any day of the week. You know, I would give him anything.
Paul says, like-minded people find each other. And I say that a lot because it led me to him and slowly to all you guys. And we just kind of find each other, you know?
Yeah.
He's a major part of why me and you are talking right now, because if it weren't for him showing that confidence in me, I might not have bought all this shit. And that's what he said about you. He didn't take the sport seriously until you were the first person that showed him that he had potential. And that meant a lot to him. And that does mean a lot to someone, because some guys that are new get bullied in the sport. But, you know, some people are in practice just worried about beating your ass. But when someone
I was trying to tell Paul was a little anxious to get a pin.
Yeah.
Right. Even when we were practicing with me, I said, Paul, you got to try to stop pinning me. And this was earlier, a few years back, because when you tried to pin me, I take your hand. So just stay patient. And then he was pulling, I forgot his name, Chris Myers, I think, a few years ago in Harrisburg. And Paul was trying to pin Chris. And I could see that Paul was in a good position. So I'm yelling at Paul, stop trying to pin him, stop. And he finally listened. And then, you know, just hold what you got when you get into a dominated position. And we all do it. Don't try to pin somebody until you can actually get the pin, right?
That's my biggest fault.
I'm guilty of it too. Look, and you go past your power. If you hit too hard and you come back up, you sometimes lose position.
Well, my problem is
something to be said about that. Yeah. Don't pin until you can actually pin.
Right. Yeah. When I'm in a losing position, not that I guess I panic. You know, you're trying to get out of there, and I'm exerting so much energy trying to win the match.
Instead of get all tense and get nervous, well, you know how that goes. You use too much energy.
Yeah.
I know you're staying focused, tense, but not too tense. Right? You don't want to start breathing too heavy, too fast. I mean, there's so many things in sports where you can overdo it, so to speak.
Yeah. Travis, how long have you known Travis? You guys have
24 years.
You guys have an interesting relationship, yeah?
Oh yeah, you got to love him or hate him, right? I love Travis, but god damn, he can piss me off sometimes too. But I love Travis. He's a good dude.
When I first met him, it was in West Virginia earlier in the year, and we know each other from social media. But I met him and his son and daughter at a family diner. One of the realest guys I ever met, man. He's a hard guy not to like.
Yeah, he's hard. You can't get mad at the dude. How do you get mad at Travis Bajan?
He's
hard too.
He's good people. Me and you were directly connected through the boxing match, which was interesting in its own right. Mm-hmm. I remember the morning of it, Barry was all crazy, and I didn't even know who you were, but the only thing I knew about you was that you were well respected in the sport, and you've been in it for a while. And I'm like, well, I gotta call this guy and let him know he's dealing with a crazy person. But Steffi was recording, Gary. He said, no, let it rip. You were in the fight. Tell me what the experience was like for you, from the warm up to the end.
Well, when Travis called me at first and mentioned it, I was reluctant to say yes because.
Why did you say yes?
Well, because I had a good inclination that BOURNE was full of shit.
You just wanted to put an end to the bullshit.
Right. And I could just tell, you say you're a world champion, you're this, you're this, you're this, you're that, and then he's not. Right. So I had a really good inclination that it was the same with boxing. Right. So he didn't even know how to throw a jab. Right. He didn't throw a jab at me, but I was off the couch. I'm 58 years old. Right. So I'm going to be 50. I'm looking 60 dead in the eye. I'll be 60 in a year and a half. So we're not talking about the 30-year-old Dave Morocco or even the 40-year-old Dave Morocco. So I was reluctant to say yes because I was more concerned about my wind than anything else. I was more concerned about only my endurance. I wasn't concerned because I've been in the I've sparred before. I've been in the gym a few times, not a fighter, professional boxer or anything, but I fooled around with a guy that was. So I wasn't concerned about him knocking me out because I've been hit before plenty of times, and that wasn't going to happen.
Did any of his hits hurt?
No.
No.
First one where he caught me that first round, I mean, he buzzed the tower, if that's what you want to say. I felt the little buzz, but that – because then after he hit me, he looked to see what he did, and I kept coming forward.
He was like, oh, shit.
So that wasn't – I mean, it would take a hell of a lot more than that to hurt me. So I was more concerned about my cardio. That was the only thing that I was concerned about. I didn't care about anything else. So I had 4 days. So I sparred a few days, and I mean, I was dying because I knew my stamina was horrible. So that was my only concern. So that's why if you watch the fight, my output was absolutely atrocious. It was as bad as it gets. The only time I tried a little bit to put my foot on the gas was the third round, because I said, okay, there's only 45 seconds left. Yeah. So I can press a bit. And I caught him with an uppercut, like under the heart.
Yeah.
And that was done. Yeah, he was one shot away from taking a knee, but I didn't have the energy to chase the guy, right? Mm-hmm. So it was cool. It was okay. I mean, I was cool with it, but I knew that and by watching him swing and do that dude can't box. He doesn't even know how to throw a jab. Yeah. He doesn't understand. So there's a lot of stuff that's, not true with this guy. And then he says, oh, he was just fooling with me because of my age. That dude was trying to knock me out. If he could have knocked me out, he would have. He couldn't because he doesn't know how to box. Right? He doesn't even understand not much. He doesn't understand the science of it at all. So, yeah, and it irritated me about Gary Roberts saying, don't tell Dave or whatever. But it is what it is. Gary's just then Gary and Barry were going to box.
I was there. That was strange.
Yeah, Gary's as soft as it gets. I mean, and I'm not trying to belittle him or say anything. I'm just stating facts, what I think of him. He is about as soft as a human being gets. That guy is soft with a capital S. So Barry Bourne would have knocked Gary Roberts out. The punch that I got hit with would put Gary Roberts to sleep because he does not have. So there's, this. What is this? That doesn't mean nothing. Look, that's what Gary Roberts is. This. Ba, 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 ba. That's all he does. This. He gets up there when he's arm wrestling, and then he gets whacked, right? Gets up there, big eyes, and gets jolly whopped, right? So this means nothing. And that's what he is. He's this. Today, tomorrow, next week, next year. That's what he is. So, and I'm just stating the truth, right? And I will tell him face to face this, right? I don't need no trouble with Gary Roberts because that would be not good for him, right? So I'm not trying to start trouble or do anything like that. I'm just making a statement. I'm the guy that will swim upstream when everyone's swimming downstream. If I go out to a bar tonight, which I don't drink, and Mike Tyson grabs my wife's ass, I'm going to knock the shit out of him, right? Now I'm going to get the shit whipped out of me because it's Mike Tyson. But I can promise you, ain't no one touching my wife without me going off, right? That's just how it is. If you have a problem with Dave Morocco, you better put your freaking hands up because I will fight. I don't care who you are. Wow. What does that matter? I'm not afraid to lose, but I don't need that either in my life. I am 58 years old. I'm not trying to start trouble or stir anything up. But that was the reason I took the fight with Barry Bourne, was because I knew he was full of shit, right? I knew there's nothing tough about him. What to be afraid of? Now, except the setup with Gary Roberts, that would have been a problem for Gary Roberts because he does have, because of who he's dealing with, Bourne would have hurt Gary. Barry would have hurt Gary.
Listen, dude, I was with him for the majority of the weekend. We had a great time. He wasn't drunk. He lost like 25 pounds. He didn't want to stay at the bar all night. It was totally different Barry Bourne. But he's still Barry Bourne, and he still switches, and he's still all that stuff. So, But he was legit ready to kill Gary. I'm talking, the eyes were this big, and I've seen him with those eyes. Not to say that he would be skilled in any shape or fashion, but he would have haymakered the shit and seriously hurt Gary. I think God intervened on that whole thing. I think Travis probably seen it ahead of
time. That was embarrassing. That was embarrassing to Travis.
Yeah,
right?
He was trying to cancel it.
Embarrassing to Travis Page. And, you know, Travis likes to have fun and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? That was very disrespectful for Gary to do that to Travis. Yeah. I don't like how he did that to Travis. I mean,
Travis did a great job.
So what if Travis wants to do it again next year? I don't know how whoever owns that place. I don't know what their take was on it, but it couldn't have been good with freaking Gary. And you know what? Gary just looks for attention, right? That's what he looks for. Let's be truthful, right? And like I said, with me, it's always going to be raw, real, and the truth. Let's be truthful. Gary Roberts is just looking for freaking attention, man. That's all. He's looking for attention.
Content, man. You got to get it.
Attention, man. I mean, once a guy said, no, I don't want to box, and he said, no, just respect Barry and say, okay, man, it's cool. Well, I mean, and then just I just can't handle the fake bullshit. You know, it's hard for me. It's against everything I stand for.
This sport is being, I'll say it a lot, it's being grown and torn apart at the same time.
Yeah, one step forward, two steps back. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's interesting time in arm wrestling, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see what happens if this COVID shit ever stops.
Yeah, well, I just got my I got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine on Friday. So it's the one that's I did a lot of research. My take is would I rather have COVID or the vaccine? And I was against the vaccine for a while, but I just thought, I did the research. So I took the more traditional vaccine.
That's three.
It's one shot. No, it's one shot. One shot, and it has half the side effects. I had no side effects. Zero. Nothing. My arm isn't even sore. So I had no side effects. And if the vaccine, if the COVID mutates and changes in form or strains, this Johnson & Johnson will fight against different strains of the COVID better than the other two.
Like 10 different shots of different COVIDs.
Yeah, so we're probably going to have to get a shot every year, which I'm cool with, man. Look at Jim Bryant, man. He's not here anymore. When Jim Bryant passed away, dude, that hurt me. That hurt my heart so bad. That caught me off guard so badly. I had so much anxiety when Jim Bryant passed away. It was so freaking, so I lost my aunt on Thanksgiving morning to COVID of 2020. Lost my aunt. Before that, I had lost a friend when I went down to Mississippi in my last super match. my friend, a high school friend, he dies in the hotel room.
Oh my.
So I've had a rough 3 months, and then Jim dies, and then I had a mishap in my family that I'd rather not talk about in the last week and a half. That was not good. But it's we're missing someone in my family that was here, and she's not here anymore. So it's been a rough 6 months for Dave Marocco. But when Jim passed away, I didn't even want to arm wrestle. I didn't have no. That was hard on me, man. That was I had a lot of respect for Jim Bryan. I love Jim Bryan, and we didn't always see eye to eye. But you know what? I had the utmost respect for Jim, and he had the utmost respect for me, right? And you don't have to see eye to eye to have respect for somebody, right? So,
Yeah.
but it was tough. It was rough. I didn't want to arm wrestle. I shut the practices down for a while. I said, man, I'm not pulling for a while. I lost my drive for like 2 months. I just started practicing again about 4 weeks ago.
It sounds like a pretty deep friendship that you had here with Jim Bryan.
Yeah, I've known Jim for like 25 years. Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard of 98% arm wrestling?
Is that Paul Passmore?
No, it's a Philly thing.
I've heard of it, and I saw
98%.
Paul Passmore with something, no, but I don't know what it is.
Here's the thing. You might get a little this. You might enjoy this. It started off this guy Ryan Grondin, who says he labels himself the worst arm wrestler in the world. Does like funny videos and stuff. He trains and started doing interviews. He was on my team in Philly.
Okay.
And I says to him, you got something here with this 98%. I said, put something, if you can connect something that'll last to it, you got something. And Josh Vinegar?
Yeah, I know.
Well, he was also very, very close, very, very hurt by Jim Bryan.
He was very close. He was closer than, Jim raised Josh.
Yeah.
Jim was like Josh's father.
Yeah.
That's how close that relationship was. That was very, very he was family, man. Those two were family.
So the Jersey team, dealing with that loss, and the Philly team going through some changes have kind of merged as one team. Joe Galgucci, Steve Walker coming down, and I'm going to start going, but they alternate locations to, accommodate everybody. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of now turned into a Philly Jersey team in honor of carrying on Jim Bryan's legacy. So now they have
that's cool.
A living kind of something to, like a template of what you know what I mean, for the team to go by as far as something.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, man. And I didn't think you knew him that well.
Very cool.
So what can we look forward to in the near futures with Dave Marocco?
Well, the big tournament in June, and then I'm going to I'm going to pull this what is it, IFA in September?
Is that
IFA
the world?
Yeah, 50 and over
in Florida, right?
Yeah, and I'm going to get down to 231. So I'm going to pull that.
What are you playing right now? You started at 198 back when you started.
Right now I'm like 265, but I was 285. So I'm 265. So once I get to 245, I'll be able to wring the water out of my system. So I really need to lose 20, 22 more pounds. And so I'd like to be 245 by August, 245 by the beginning of September, and I've got it. And then I'll just get the water out of my system. That'll be pretty easy.
Wow, man. I look forward to coming to your tournament. I missed the last practice where our Philly guys went. You had Todd Zilla there, and Travis was there.
I'm going to put this up too, probably this week. I'm going to have a big practice so my tournament's June 19th. I'm going to have a big practice middle of May.
That's cool.
Big one. And it's going to be probably about a month from now.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it up there. Yeah.
Yeah. Let
So
me
it's
know.
going to be a good practice. It'll be a good one. Tadzilla comes to pretty much
Yeah.
everyone.
He's not that far from you, is he? It's not that far.
Well, yeah, he's 6 hours. So he drives 6 hours, drinks about 75 beers, and then drives home 6 hours.
He's another guy that does not like to hear excuses from anyone about age or fucking work ethic or nothing.
No.
Really?
And like Tadzilla, his work, here's what I love Tadzilla because, you got a short set the thumb. And I'm not saying against all this stuff, these different techniques, because I use techniques myself. But Todzilla's MO is just be stronger than the motherfucker across. Right? There's nothing worse than that. When you grab a hold of somebody and you know that they're stronger than you. Like when I grab a hold, like for me, Marcio Barbosa, he grabs my hand. I'm like, geez, whiz, you're grabbed, right? When he grabs you, you already know you're going where he says you're going, right? And it's just that feeling when someone is just stronger than you.
It really makes you feel like a little boy.
Like what there's nothing worse than that. That's the worst. That's the best feeling on the other side of the coin. When you're just stronger than your opponent, you're winning before they say go. There's not a better feeling in the world than that. Okay. That's what Todzilla's deal is. Just be stronger than the guy across from you.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. Keep it simple. Don't and I can promise you there's no one in North America outworking Todzilla. Nobody. There might be a few people working as hard, but nobody's outworking Todzilla. I don't even have to look. I already know.
Not only that, he's an engineer, so he knows all the stuff.
Oh, he knows physics and all that stuff. And people think Todzilla's strong and he's not very technical. That dude is way more technical than people
probably
think.
Got it measured to the fucking.
Oh my gosh, he knows exactly how to beat people.
And those, yeah, that's a big. I think
it's just a huge compliment to me that Todzilla likes to test his top roll against his hook against my top roll, because I mean, look at Todzilla, the accolades he has. I'm not even in the vicinity of him, but it's cool. And Todd's a good friend of mine. I love Todd. He's a good man.
Yeah, he said whenever he's got a training camp, you're the first guy he calls.
Yeah, we have a lot of people. I've had the luxury of a lot of people, Paul Lynn, Kenny Smith, Storm Chileno, a lot of Marcio. They said that the best practices they've ever had has been here. So we grind here. I take the pin pads off the tables. The pin pads, there's no ego here, right? At our regular Thursday practices, I take the pin pads and I take them off the table, because the ego, you can leave it at the front door. There's no ego. We're trying to train and we're trying to get better and we're trying to get stronger together.
That's great, man.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to come out there now.
Yeah,
got me all fired up, dude.
Yeah. That's where it's at. Like and everything starts with the hand and the wrist.
Yeah.
Right. If your arm is a little lackluster that day, but your hand and wrist is feeling real good, you can negotiate your way through a tournament. Huh. Now, if your hand and wrist is off, I mean, it's very difficult. And these words that I'm telling you come from John Brzenk. Yeah. John Brzenk, I mean, he's the best arm wrestler that ever lived, bar none. There's nobody ever is good. And to this point, will there ever be another John? I don't even know. But he was so smooth. He could do it all. He had a great hook.
I wonder who taught him. Was it natural with him?
His dad arm wrestled. I don't know the whole story, but I know he started arm wrestling when he broke his arm when he was really, really young. Oh. And then it healed freaking crazy strong. But he arm wrestled with his father, and his dad arm wrestled. So John started at a young age, and he kept at it. And his hand and wrist was iron. Yeah, your hand and wrist, that's where it's at.
When I was talking with Paul was the very first episode I did on this podcast, because he's partly responsible for it. When we were talking about training, he says it's kind of like a tree. Everything starts, getting these strong, then going here and then working on this stuff. A lot of people, when they're working out, training for arm wrestling, they do all these other things instead of worrying about these, including myself, because I'm trying to do all the exercise when my hand gets taken. So I need to focus on, hey, how you doing, bud? My little bud. Come here, say hello. I've been talking about it. It's my guy here. This is Adrian.
What's
It's
up, buddy?
Yeah, we were talking about
How you
it.
doing, buddy?
On a little podcast. Good. You want to take these down? I'm about to wrap up. Yeah, thank you. Yep. Yeah, your nothing without the hands and the fingers first. So
that's where it's at. The hand and the wrist, man. That's where it's at.
Well, Dave, I don't know about you, but I had a wonderful time here today.
Yeah, me too, man. I enjoyed it, man. I like talking about
things that matter.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts before we wrap things up?
Well, I would like to see, we've been through difficult times of late with this COVID. I feel better about myself that I'm vaccinated. My wife's going to get vaccinated in a couple of days. So I would like to see us get back up on our feet a little bit more and get back to some normalcy.
Yeah.
And just, I think we've learned something as a nation or as a society from this COVID. Maybe we're just a little bit more. I haven't even gotten a cold since Corona came out because the washing the hands, when I touch a gas pump, I use the Clorox wipe. I haven't even got a cold. So I think the things that we're doing now, less the mask, once we get this COVID under control, we should do that for our neighbor by when you touch a gas pump and you're sick, wipe the thing off with a Clorox. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, it's just courtesy. It's courtesy to the next person. So I think we've learned a lot when it comes to hygiene and keeping germs away from this. COVID has taught us a big lesson. So I would tell the people that aren't vaccinated, if you can get vaccinated, and I put a lot of thought into this. My opinion is I would rather be vaccinated than have COVID. Yeah. It's only my opinion. Everyone has their own little twist on it, but I feel much better that I'm vaccinated. I think it takes 2 weeks for full immunity or whatever for the shot to kick completely in. But I hope the next year is a lot better, and I feel pretty optimistic. I think by the fall time, we're going to be pretty back close to normal, and I'm hoping by 2022 we can put this COVID. I hope we can put it behind us once and for all. But if we can't, we just got to live on with it, and we have to be able to coexist with the COVID. If we're vaccinated, we don't really have to worry about it too much.
Yeah, I feel like the world got caught up in all the things, all the material things, the places, the shows, the gold, the women, all the stuff that we're being forced to reset our minds and hearts we're being forced to see what really matters. And so we got everything closed off. And I think a lot of good and bad came out of it. Some people will now appreciate going to eat dinner at your family's house in a different place, or just taking a walk on the boardwalk. I mean, some people are going to appreciate that more so now than ever. And also, I'm afraid for the children because the mental problems that could stem from all this scary stuff over the past, 5 years or so. I think the world needs people like us to show them that it's not over yet.
I check on my boys all the time to see how they're doing. They say, I'm good, Dad. I said, no, how are you really doing? Are you okay? Because you've seen these young kids. Paul Lynn just told me at his high school, suicide.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff going on, man, that's not freaking good. So this mental health, from a worldwide, we have a little bit more generalized anxiety than with COVID than before COVID.
Definitely.
And at first, when COVID hit, and I was like, they were shutting the freaking states down, and there was like a ghost town. Shit, I had anxiety about it. It's like, what's going on? For a little bit, and then I settled in, and then I settled in, and I was fine. But it was a big adjustment it was a big adjustment with this COVID, and I'm hoping that we can get through this and get through this COVID and get to the other side. Yeah, get back to the other side of us going out and being able to go eat at a restaurant without worrying, like looking over your shoulder, So it's not cool to be in a restaurant if you're anxious because while you're there, that's not relaxing. You're worried about, does this guy have COVID or does this person have COVID?
6 feet, maintain.
Yeah. So that's not so cool. But I would like to see us get back to normalcy, and would be pretty awesome. I'd like to start getting like to see some arm wrestling events. And the one thing I will say about the WAL or whatever, these people that come out and try these different things and stuff, man, as an arm wrestler for 34 years, people don't care about the big venue. The real pullers don't care about Michael Buffer freaking paying him $10,000 to freaking announce an event. People don't care about it's got to be at the ESPN zone. Who gives a shit about that? People want to just arm wrestle, right? Whether it's under a bridge under I-95, and they just want to arm wrestle. Us arm wrestlers, you don't have to lay out the red carpet, right? These guys have way more money than I do. I'm not even in the ballpark of the WAL guy, but I could start a league myself and probably get it going pretty well, because they don't need the big format. They just want to arm wrestle. That's all.
I have found that some of my best commentary comes from the small, intimate settings, and it's not. Steve Black taught me. We had a conversation about cutting weight, and increasing chances of medaling or whatever, winning in a lower class. And he just said, dude, that ain't it. He goes, you find a couple of guys that you want to beat on your ladder, the guys that you want to climb to say, or to see your status, and you just pull them. It don't matter what you weigh, it's about the guys. So like you were saying, I think it's the arm wrestling itself. It doesn't need all the glitz and the glamour to feel like it's
none of that. It doesn't need none of that to exist. Matter of fact, it has to not have that if it wants to exist.
I see a lot of frustration from you older veterans that have been in it longer, the most, because I think obviously you guys come from a time where it was more pure, and I think you may be watching this thing unfold into so many different things. But you're reminding us what the hell it is, just what in the hell it is. It's just the arm wrestling. That interacts again. Well, Dave, I look forward to coming to your tournament. I had a blast. I'm sure we'll be talking again. It's been an honor, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'll see you soon, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to have me on your show. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Have a good night, my friend.
You too, buddy. I'll see you later.
Yep, see you later.